do when you find a student cheating on an exam?
Again, I've not dealt with this as an instructor for a long time, but as the chair of a department, I've had this issue come up a couple of times. One very serious consequence that we brought in the college security folks to talk about how the cheating process had begun and what had gone wrong. Boy, I think the big thing is, you know, when a class is sitting there quietly writing an exam, it's just so tempting for instructors to back to the office and do a little bit of computer work or something and that, but it is, despite the fact it's incredibly boring sitting there watching a class writing exam, if there's invigilators present, it really does help. Just not playing into it, just making it very difficult for people, making them sit a bit wider apart than usual. The usual sort of exam sort of setups of making sure that all the books and pens and things are clear. Just don't lead people into temptation, I guess, is big.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice. You know, you minimize whatever temptation you can. And on very rare occasions, you will have situations where you've observed behavior that's inappropriate, or where you actually have to tackle the behavior head on during the exam itself, and that's very uncomfortable. I've actually witnessed a student who was looking continuously at somebody else's work during an exam. I waited until they completed. I took the exam. I asked them to wait for me. I met them individually in the office, and I asked them. I told them what I observed, and I asked them to comment on my observations. And they admitted that they were cheating. So that worked out fairly comfortably for me. Doesn't always work out that way, though. I had another situation where I actually had to pull a student from a classroom, a large lecture auditorium, and they were cheating from notes that were on their seat. And that was very uncomfortable as well. I guess I want to say that these are rare, and I think that if you set up conditions to minimize the opportunity as much as you can, you'll avoid having too many of those instances in your lifetime, and that's about the best you can do.
I guess there's a lot of variations on this. If it's really explicit cheating, somebody pulls out a piece of paper and they're copying from it, well, then it's pretty evident. You just take their paper. I've never ever had that happen. If it's something like, you know, their eyes are wandering and that kind of stuff, I keep an eye out on the exam the whole time and always watching what's going on. And it's interesting because you can usually pick out somebody whose head all of a sudden moves in that direction. I'll just go up to them and ask them to move over a bit, or let them know that I am watching them. I'll ask them to take their hat off, for example. I've done that kind of thing. If they are actually cheating, or there's evidence of it, maybe what they've said on their exam is identical to what their neighbor said, then I'll bring them both in and talk to them about it. But I think something that's really key here is to try to avoid it in the first place. If you've got you know, a large class and they're writing an exam, perhaps have multiple copies of the same exam, space them out, seat them differently, or in different wide apart locations, so you minimize the chance of that ever happening. If they are cheating, then it's a grade of 0. On the exam, and if something like that occurs, then they're out of the course. That's the school's policy, so that's how that would work.
Yeah, I was just going to say there is a college policy if you see someone cheating, and usually we have 2 monitors, teachers, so if both of them see someone cheating, there is a policy that we can follow, so that's what I would do.